Thanks to many incredible leaders and women all over the world, women have become more empowered and present in education, the workforce, and society as a whole. Decreasing the gender gap in the workforce is an ongoing struggle, and each generation strives to help make the women of tomorrow stronger, better, and more courageous. The times are changing as science and technology continue to advance, allowing women to have their voices heard and help make this world a better place. The interest behind this creative project stemmed from a video posted by Clemson University about women in science, technology, engineering, and math, better known as STEM. The link below leads to the article posted by Clemson, and in it, it states, Clemson University has launched an initiative to create an inclusive academic culture so that women and underrepresented minorities are encouraged to enter and remain in academia. This idea, along with the principles and topics discussed in STS 1010, led us to create a project where we were able to share information about gender discrepancies and the gender gap with friends and strangers in hopes of increasing knowledge and raising awareness for women's rights and empowerment in education, the workforce, and STEM. What is human gender? To begin, sex is an individual's biological characteristics, and gender is an individual's socially recognized state of self. We interviewed various students at Clemson and others in the country to ask them their thoughts on the gender gap, women in science and technology, and how they can help make the future better and brighter for women.
I definitely still think there's a gender gap, but I think it's getting better. We're definitely progressing.
I think the largest challenge being a female in the mathematical field is the criticism we receive from people outside of the mathematical community. I think this deters a lot of young girls from wanting to admit that they like math, so it's very important for the women in this industry to bind together and really support each other so we can excel in a male-dominated field.
As a civil engineer, I feel that there's a big gender gap still, at least within our department. I have a lot of friends who are in other engineering disciplines. My brother was a mechanical engineer, and from talking to them, most of them are guys. From talking to them, their classes are probably 90 to 95% male.
I'm a marketing major, and I honestly really don't see a big gender gap in my major. We're definitely kind of female heavy, which I think is great. It's great seeing a lot of girls in my classes. I definitely think we do have a long way to go.
Okay, I don't necessarily see a large gender gap in Clemson, like as a student body as a whole. I feel like when I walk around campus, I see equal amounts of males and females, even with our professors. But being an early childhood education major, we have not one male. Our cohort of 28 is all females.
I really don't think there's a gender gap in my major. I would say there's mostly girls in my concentration for travel and tourism, but overall there are a lot of boys in PRTM.
Being a woman in the engineering field isn't always easy. There's always going to be challenges to face, and the most common being in a mixed gender team setting. Women are often marginalized and set to do easy, minute tasks, while the males take the more challenging and rewarding ones. I know this will be something I'll continue to face as I move forward in my career, but I know that I can overcome it with my motivation by going out there and grabbing those challenging, rewarding tasks before anyone can begin to stop me.
Yes, as an accounting major, I do not see a large gender gap. I feel like there's a pretty equal amount of girls and guys in my classes.
I feel that I will not face a lot of challenges being a female in my field, but I have noticed that recently educators have been trying to incorporate a lot of STEM exercises and activities for our students so that they don't feel deterred as a female or even a male from going a specific path in life. So I've noticed that we really do try and make students feel like whatever they want to do, they are able to do in the future at an early age.
I'm a student in the language department. Right now there's a huge gender gap. There's mostly girl majors.
I'm Taylor and I'm a senior in the religious studies department where there are only 2 female professors. And I find there isn't as much of a gender gap in the religious studies department as in others, but there are definitely more guys, and the girls are very obviously more hesitant to raise questions in class, where they're the vast minority, especially with male professors. And so I feel like that's a problem that that department should for sure look into fixing.
I'm Amy, and I'm a visual arts major, and I've literally never had a male in any of my classes. I've had male teachers, there's male grad students, but it's definitely focused towards women.
I'm Brenda McAuliffe. I'm a CPA and a partner at Ernst & Young currently. I started my career through a college education at Pace University, where I graduated with an undergraduate degree, a BBA, and then an MBA in accounting, then started my career at Ernst & Young, where I've been for 30 years. Actually, Erin, that's an interesting question. I never really thought about that much embarking upon my career, but now looking back, what I've been able to see that has significantly changed is just the number of women in the workforce. So when I started, our partnership was probably in the maybe mid to high single digits of women in the partnership. And certainly at clients, executive level positions were not occupied with women. And so what that meant for me as a young woman starting out is that there weren't a lot of role models. So as an example that I'll give you, when I decided to have my first child, there were no women in the office that I was in that had had a child and come back to work. And this was not that long ago, less than 30 years ago. So that's sort of an astonishing statistic. So what's really changed is that there's a lot more role models out there for women. There's a lot more acceptance of women in the workplace. It's still not perfect. Societal norms have moderated a bit, but there's still a lot to be done in that.
I think that there is not necessarily a gender gap in my field. I'm going into medicine, so I think that there are way more female doctors these days than there ever were before. And in my med school class, it's about 50-50. So the gap is closing, but there's still a stereotype attached to females in that workforce. So while there isn't a gender gap, there kind of is in the attitude towards women.
I'm a political science major who plans to graduate and go to law school and then practice and then go into politics. And obviously, women are the minority in politics today because, we've never had a female president and there's less than 20% of women in Congress. With that being said, in today's times and in the past, women, by men in power women have been deemed as, the irrational thinkers, ones who are not able to make, common level-headed decisions in a time of panic or at a time when, decisions need to be made on the dot, whereas it's been proven by several studies that women are actually more civically minded. We're able to, take in things from different viewpoints and be able to make decisions based off of that, and that's necessary, especially given today's polarization and all of the international problems going on today. So therefore, I think instead of deeming ourselves as, not being able to promote the statistic, I think we should be able to deem ourselves as the underdogs and be able to be confident and raise the statistics and, increase the number of women in Congress and have a female president.
I was meeting with different firms, accounting firms and stuff. I see just as many women working for them as men.
Okay, in my industry, which is the nonprofit industry, it's probably going to be difficult being a woman to get across in the political sphere that I'm not basing my decisions off of my emotions, that I'm basing it off of facts and things like that.
Recording this video gave us a great opportunity to share with others the importance of the role that science and technology play with society as a whole, specifically with issues of gender discrepancies in education, the workforce, and STEM fields. Many students, many of whom were our friends, did not realize the daily struggles that many women experience in these fields across the country and world. Over the course of the last few weeks, we have had the opportunity to talk with Clemson students and see how their experiences at Clemson have helped prepare them to be accepting of all people, no matter gender, race, or background. By discussing these topics, people can feel more empowered to go out and make a change.